Good evening and welcome to Captain Zach's episode 3 interviews with Mr. Andrew Keene. Evening, Andrew.
Evening, Georgie. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving up your time this evening to share your stories with everybody. For those who don't know, you are obviously the race director for the club, and I'm sure you've got some stories to tell. So let's get on with the first question. Most importantly, what brought you into triathlon?
I never actually intended to get into triathlon. It was 6 years ago yesterday that I did my first race. But about 6.5 years ago, I was about 19.5 stone, severely overweight, unfit, probably heading to an early grave. So I decided to try and get fit. So I joined Tiddenfoot and started a long journey to sort of shed some weight. At the time, my mum was working for Ian Rennie Hospice, and I saw that they had an advert for a charity triathlon over at RAF Holton, which was about the following May. So I thought, well, that'd be a good target. Didn't even know really what a triathlon was. Yeah. I looked at it and I thought, well, I can't swim more than 25 metres. It's 400-metre swim. I don't own a bike, and I can't run more than about 200 metres. So I thought, it'll give me a good sort of target. And sort of trained over the winter in the gym mainly. I remember going for my first outdoor run, and if anyone knows where I live, I tried to run up South Street, got to near Verity's house and had to stop, and that's about 150 metres. So but yeah, got it done, and then done the race and just absolutely loved it. You know, at that time I'd obviously lost quite a bit of weight and got a bit fitter, and as I say, the rest is history.
And had you joined the triathlon club at that point, or was that prior to joining?
That was prior to joining. I hadn't joined, and it was I knew a few people were at the club, but I hadn't joined it at that point.
Oh, fab! So that was a solo effort, but I think that is testament to your never give up attitude, and you know, from your starting point just to keep on going. I think that's fab. So I don't know whether that's sort of answered question 2 or not, whether you want to share another sort of first memory of your sort of triathlon journey.
Yeah, I think my sort of the first real memory after that one really sort of followed when I joined the club, which was, so I said, I think I knew a few of the dads from school. So Brian, Simon Bradford, Matt Mitchell, all our children were in the same class at school. So we knew each other sort of socially and bits and pieces. And certainly Brian kept badgering me to join the tri club. He knew I was trying to get fit. But at that time, I think Brian had just done Ironman Nice. I think Matt had just done Ironman Bolton. And I was like, well, I haven't even done Holton Sprint yet. I can't be joining these superhero Ironman people. But eventually I joined, and from that first Thursday session of being petrified, and meeting Diane, and then going out my first run. I remember it was with Jim Oakes. We went and did a hill session, and I thought I'm going to die on about rep 2 of about 20. But was just blown away by sort of everybody that was there. There was normal people there. They weren't all Iron Men and things like that. And that's my first real memory, and it just stuck with me, the friendliness of the club and how welcoming everybody was.
Oh, fab. I think that's brilliant that your first session was a hill set.
It was I remember it being really hot, because I remember doing my first race. The Holton one was in about May, and I think I joined in June. It was baking hot, and I seriously was going up and down Solbury Road Hill, and I thought, I'm just going to die here. It was baking hot. You're trying to go too fast. It was just not a nice combination.
And you came back for more.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So what's your favourite training session then? Thinking about that being your sort of first welcome to LBTRI Club. What's your favourite training session that you like to do yourself?
Well, I think I go in phases of loving and hating different sessions. I think I'm never in love with any session all at one time, but I think probably the one that's given me the biggest gains have been the turbo sessions with Brian. I think we get used to doing interval sessions when we're running. We do interval sessions when we're swimming, but we tend not to do it on the bike. Everyone just thinks just go and do miles on the bike. But actually doing those 3 or 4 blocks, certainly last year with Brian, doing the interval sessions and the brick sessions we did around on the bike, just took my bike speed and power up to a different level. I remember we did about 3 or 4 weeks on the trot when we were doing these brick sessions, so really trashing our legs, and then doing sort of fast 1 kilometre runs, and then doing it again and again.
Wow.
And you'd die doing it. But then I remember doing Stuartbury Sprint about 3 weeks after we'd finished that block, and I had the best ever run I've had. On it was, absolutely nailed it. Speed just went up and up and up every single kilometre, and it was just like really testament to the sessions that we were doing with Brian. But I think they get ignored a little bit. I think we just tend to put miles in the legs on the bike rather than, doing intervals like we do running or swimming.
I have a feeling that might slightly have changed given the current sort of climate of things. So with more of us on turbos.
Yeah, everybody's on Zwift and Sufferfest.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the Duathlon Championship throws up.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good one.
I think we need the international calibrator to go around and calibrate everyone's turbos to make sure that they're recording at the same speed and power.
and that some of us have got a hill that we've got to run round, and rather than a flat course, so
Yeah, you need to think about it. You need to think about it, don't you? You need to plan where you're going to run. You don't want to sort of come out your front door and up a hill. You need to sort of plot it so you've got a nice downhill 5k, but then if you go downhill, you've obviously got to come back up. You've got to come back
up at some point. Yeah, so I did a little recce today, just saying, everybody.
Good. That's it. Well plotted.
Yep. So what's your most memorable event, or actually even your most favourite race? They could be 2 separate ones, or they could be the same.
I think my favourite race is probably Ironman Maastricht. Most memorable, I think, was doing my first Ironman. I think you never surpassed that first bit, but actually Ironman Maastricht was the first time that Kirsten and Laura had been able to come and watch. They couldn't get to many races, but it was also the perfect race. It was a beautiful river swim, a really mixed bike with cobbles and hills and all sorts.
Oh, God.
And the run was just insane. It was a 4-lap run around Maastricht city centre. Maastricht's a beautiful old Northern European sort of city, a bit like Lille or Bruges, cobbled, and it's just lined with bars. And there was just these Dutch people. On the first lap I went through, they were pissed. On the next lap, every lap they were just getting drunker. And on the 3rd and 4th lap, they were dancing in the street, grabbing older people. It was just brilliant. But the fact that Kirsten and Laura were there was brilliant. It's also the race that Carrie infamously broke her leg with a stress fracture on the run. And I always have a vision. There was an out and back bit on the course, and I was going up, and I sort of saw Carrie on the right hand side, and she's got this great big strapping 25-year-old lad who's about 6'4" and hobbling along, grabbing hold of him, and hobbling along. I said, "You're right," and got as you can imagine, the Carrie reaction. But she absolutely gutsed it out and got it done as well.
Oh, fab! I'm just picturing that now.
Yeah, he was a big strapping lad.
I'm sure Carrie's going to really thank you for mentioning that one, Andrew.
Yeah.
So as you've obviously done loads of events and things, what's your one piece of kit that you wouldn't be able to live without?
For me, it's my watch. I stats, data, tracking progress, training peaks and Strava. Not to say I train with it all the time, Mr. Colin Bradley, because I know you tell us not to. And I do train sometimes without it or stuffed in my back pocket so I can't see it. But I have to see the data afterwards to analyse it. So yeah, for me, it's my watch. Yeah, I'm quite happy I can sort of swap trainers and bits and pieces, but I have to have my watch.
And so did that help you, obviously last Sunday when you were doing your mammoth 84 laps of the block round where you live?
Yeah.
Did that help you, keep on that constant pace? And
yeah, it did actually. To be honest, it was interesting because it's the first time I've done a marathon just on its own, and didn't get involved in trying to go too fast, just stick to a pace. And for the first 32, 34K, I was bang on the pace that I thought I could do and just stuck it out. The last 10K, I had to dig in a little bit and, put a few little walking bits in. But yeah, absolutely just stuck to the pace, kept an eye on the watch, kept an eye on the heart rate, and just plodded around there.
Oh, that's brilliant. It was such a great achievement because a lot of that was the mind as well, 84 laps of the same block,
But it is interesting. I said it to a few people afterwards. I actually quite enjoyed it because if you think of a marathon, you start being a marathon, you go, Jesus, that's a long way, 26 miles. I was just concentrating on doing 10 laps at a time. 10 laps at a time, feed. Actually, it went really quickly rather than thinking about, I've got to do 84 laps. It was quite a nice way to do it. I wouldn't recommend it, but
well, big thumbs up to you. Well done. Great achievement. What would be your best triathlon top tip then?
I think it's similar to what I've just said there. Don't get involved in trying to race people, particularly sort of on the bike or early part of the run. If you bury yourself trying to chase someone, you'll pay for it later. We've all done it. You chase someone down and then, you just die later. If you just stick to your game plan, whether it's a power outage or, your heart rate or speed or whatever you're working to, but stick to your game plan. Do not get caught up racing people. I remember I did it in my first Olympic race over at Bedford, I think it was. And I can't remember who I was chasing, or thought I was chasing. It was, I don't know, Andy Garton or somebody, and I was like, I could see this green and black person. I thought, I'm really I'm going to catch them. Not to realise that I was dying catching them. It was a 2-lap course and they turned off to finish and I had to do another 5K on the run and absolutely died on that last 5K. And it was, you just got to stick to your own game plan. Otherwise you'll just, particularly, last 2 or 3K of a run, then you can start, giving everything you've got. But if you start doing it too early, you're just going to die and pay for it later.
Yeah, and that comes back to that use of that equipment again, on your watch and things, isn't it? Keeping it consistent and running to what you can run to.
Yeah, or if you do it by RPE, however you manage your thing, but just stick to your game plan. It's so easy in a race just to get caught up, and then you always pay for it later. If you overcook it, you're just going to pay for it.
Thank you for sharing that. So the next question was, what's one thing you've learnt not to do in a race? I think we might have just found that out, but I don't know if you've got anything else specific you wanted to say.
Yeah, I would definitely say don't do that. I mean, there's lots of other things. Don't try and wee on a bike. That's I tried it once, failed miserably, but.
We'll leave that to the imagination, I think.
yeah, but no, I would say definitely don't in a race. Don't get caught up racing people, otherwise you'll pay for it later.
Okay, thank you. So what's your one biggest challenge then in the sport, and how have you overcome it, or have you overcome it yet? So really thinking about what your nemesis is. What's the thing that you want to get better at or do better at?
Swimming's my nemesis. Swimming in a pool specifically. I just hate swimming in a pool. I'll swim outdoors in lakes or rivers, so during the summer I'm fine. But I just mentally, I find it really tough to swim in a pool. I used to be okay. When I first started, first couple of years at the club, I enjoyed it or put up with it. But the last couple of years, I've just had a real mental block about pool swimming. And I find it really challenging. I don't like swimming with loads of people in the lane. I want to be able to get on and do my stuff. and particularly at Tiddenfoot, and it's just so busy, and it's a real challenge. Outdoors, absolutely fine. I'll go to Box End or Brogburn, and I'm happy jumping there, and I'll swim for an hour and a half, no problem at all. But I know if I want to move my swimming on, I've just got to get my head around getting into the pool over the winter and working all those things, doing the technique stuff and all those type of drills. But I just find it, I've got a bit of a mental block on it at the minute.
Well, as one of the swim coaches, if there is anything I can help you with on that one, we can do that another time. But equally, it might be worth sort of sharing a few ideas. If we can support in any way, that's what we're here to do. So
I did probably a 6-month stint when you were doing one of the lanes, and really enjoyed it. And I think once I get into it and I break that, get into the rhythm of it and do it for 3 or 4 weeks, it's fine. But it's just that mental block of just going, right, I've got to go swimming. I've got to get to the pool, and it's just, I find it really tough. And obviously everyone's the same now. We can't go. So when we come back, it's going to be really busy. I've just got to just get on with it, really, and just bite the bullet.
I'm sure you can do it, Andy. I'm sure you can. So I'm really interested in this one. I'm not entirely sure I know who you're going to say. Who in the triathlon community has influenced you the most, and why, and what?
There's probably a number of people in the club. I won't name them and to embarrass them, but there's certainly 2 or 3 people that have sort of shaped the way I think about triathlon and train, and sort of my training philosophy. But outside of that, there's a guy called Matt Fitzgerald, who is a coach and athlete. He sort of writes a lot of books. He's the guy that's written the 80-20 book. And I really sort of follow his training mantra and how he approaches triathlon or training in particular. Him. But there's people within the club, that I, look up to and sort of listen to and use them as sounding boards. But Matt Fitzgerald outside of the club is definitely the person that I sort of follow.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can remember Brian telling me all about his book 80-20, and then going and buying it and giving it to Simon to read so he could tell me all about it. Yeah, no,
it's a really good, and it's Colin and a lot of the coaches talk a lot about the 80-20 rule and that type of thing, and it's I find it a really good training method. Doesn't overstress the body. Certainly for the longer distance stuff, it works really well. And I find his books, and he's got lots of different books and stuff out there. I find them really engaging and easy to follow.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. So what's your favourite thing then, as race director and a member of the committee? What do you enjoy about those roles that you have within the club?
I think with being in the committee, it's about trying to reflect what the members want. And then as the sort of the race organizer and race director, and is to put on a race series that engages the members. It's really disappointing. This year we sort of tweaked it slightly, to try and make it even more engaging. We had a really good set of races pulled together, and obviously, coronavirus has come along and put a stop to it. So, and it's just trying to keep it fresh as well. Where we live, we've got a sort of certain core of races that are on every year, that you don't want to use them all the time because it can get a little bit boring doing the same races. So it's trying to keep it fresh and put different things on. So we've had, we've done the Slate Man a couple of times where we've had races up in Wales and stuff like that. So it's just trying to keep it fresh and engaging for everybody, so that it's not just reflecting people that want to do half Ironmans. There's pool sprints, there's open water sprints, there's different set of races that everyone can enjoy.
I'm still hopeful that we might be able to do the odd 1 or 2 at the end of the season. You never know.
Yeah, I think the way it's going, I think, September and October, you can race about 4 times a day at the minute, because everyone's, a lot of people have moved all their races to sort of September, October, with the hope that some restrictions are lifted. And it may be that some of the smaller local races will be able to, because they'll have a smaller sort of competitor base. Yeah, anything that's got big numbers, I think won't happen. But it'll be interesting how the triathlon community and the race organisers adapt to it, because social distancing is not going to go away. So it may be rolling starts and things like that, which actually may make it a more enjoyable race to take part in. If you take out those, certainly open water, those mass open water swims that really intimidate people, if you make it a rolling start and then spread the fields out, it may make it a little bit more competitor friendly. So it's going to be interesting, certainly over the next year, how the race organisers adapt to it. On a bigger race, how do you do feed stations? You can't do feed stations in the way that we do at the minute, where you've got people handing out bottles and stuff like that, because you can't social distance that way. So it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting. Let's watch this space.
Yeah. Let's see what Boris has to say on Sunday.
On Sunday,
he's going to talk to us. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, listen, thank you very, very, very much for your time this evening, and thank you for sharing your experiences, really, because I don't know about everybody else, but I'm finding it really interesting listening to everybody's stories, and everybody's got something different they're bringing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Speak later.